What if your childhood held secrets no one ever told you? Hidden signs, divine messages woven into your life, waiting for you to finally recognize them. You always knew you were different. While others were content with the ordinary, you felt something deeper calling you. There were moments you couldn't explain, an intuition that seemed to stretch beyond what those around you could perceive. But what if those experiences weren't just random? What if they were undeniable proof that you were never meant to fit in, but to rise, set apart for something greater? So many people overlook these signs, dismissing them as fleeting thoughts or strange coincidences. But you've always sensed there was more. You noticed the patterns, felt the presence of something unseen, and carried questions that no one else seemed to ask. Have you ever wondered why? Could it be that all along you were chosen and no one ever told you? If this speaks to you, comment 999 below. I want to hear from those who felt this pull. And to everyone who has supported this channel through Super Thanks, I am truly grateful for your generosity. Your kindness allows these messages to reach those who need them most, and I appreciate you more than words can express. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover could change how you see your entire life. The signs were always there. The question is, are you ready to finally understand them? Let's uncover the truth together. God's chosen ones. If you experienced this in childhood, you're one of the chosen, and no one told you. From the time you were a child, something within you felt out of place. It was as though the world around you moved in a rhythm that didn't quite align with your spirit. While other children were carefree in their play, you found yourself observing, questioning, and sensing things that others overlooked. It was as if you could see a hidden layer of reality that remained invisible to those around you. Have you ever wondered why you felt this way? Why, despite your efforts to blend in, there was always a quiet voice inside you whispering that you were different, that you didn't entirely belong to this world? It was as though your body was here, but your soul resonated with a place far beyond what the eyes could see. And what made it even more perplexing, whenever you tried to explain this feeling, people dismissed it, brushing it off as overthinking or childish imagination. But deep within, you knew that what you felt was real. That sensation of being out of sync was not an accident. It was never a flaw. It was a sign that you were set apart. God's chosen ones often carry this awareness from childhood, yet few ever receive the confirmation they long for. But today, you are about to understand why. This world has never fully reflected who you are because you were not designed to conform to it. Just as Joseph, the favored son of Jacob, knew he was different from his brothers, you too have felt an undeniable distinction. Joseph had dreams that revealed hidden truths, visions that even his family could not understand. Genesis 37:5-11. But instead of being embraced, he was mocked and cast aside. His uniqueness was seen as a threat, just as yours might have been dismissed or misunderstood. Could it be that God has been speaking to you in ways that others cannot comprehend? From an early age, those who are chosen are tested, shaped, and prepared for a mission that most cannot fathom. Look at the life of Moses, born into oppression, yet set apart from birth. He grew up in the Egyptian palace, but his soul never belonged there. He could have lived comfortably, but something inside him rejected the illusion. He knew he was meant for something greater, even when he didn't fully understand it. Exodus 2:11-12. Have you ever felt that pull, an unshakable feeling that you were destined for more than what this world offers? Perhaps you've noticed how some people seem completely content living in the same routines, never questioning, never searching, as if they are numb to a deeper reality. Meanwhile, you have always sensed that something more exists, something hidden just beyond the veil. That awareness is the first sign that your spirit is awake while many others still slumber. Jesus himself spoke of this when he said, "Many are called, but few are chosen." Matthew 22:14. Could it be that your awareness, your questions, your very existence outside the norm is because you are part of the chosen few? Throughout history, those with great callings often faced isolation before their purpose was revealed. Even Albert Einstein, long before he became a name etched in history, struggled in school because he saw the world differently. His mind worked in ways others couldn't understand. Imagine if he had silenced his gift just to fit in. What if you too have been given a perspective that others can't see, not as a burden but as a divine gift? And here's the truth. If you have felt this way, you are not alone. In fact, this is only the first piece of the puzzle. There are more signs, undeniable ones, that will reveal the full picture of who you are. The moment you connect them all, everything will make sense. The questions that have followed you since childhood will no longer feel like mysteries, but confirmations. And when that realization comes, you will finally understand why you have always felt different. The answer has been waiting for you all along. Are you ready to see it? Now, I ask you, are you truly ready to uncover the truth that has been hidden from you all along? Have you ever stepped into a place and felt an unexplainable shift in the air, as though something unseen was lingering there? Perhaps it was a sudden shiver, an inexplicable weight in the atmosphere, or a subtle knowing that something was not right. At the time, you might have dismissed it as your imagination, but what if I told you that it was something much more profound? Since childhood, you have experienced the world differently. It was never just about what you could see with your eyes. There was always an unseen layer, a silent energy that spoke to you. You noticed details that others ignored, picked up on emotions without a word being spoken, and sensed an invisible presence that others were blind to. Have you ever wondered why, while other children were lost in carefree play, you were drawn to deeper things? Subtle shifts in people's moods, the unspoken tensions in a room, the strange, almost prophetic sense that something was about to happen before it did. And what's even more astonishing, your body often reacted before your mind could make sense of it. Before logic could provide an explanation, you already knew when something was wrong. This wasn't just an intellectual awareness. It was something deeper, an instinct embedded in your very being. You could pick up on emotions and energies effortlessly, feeling the sorrow, the fear, or even the hidden intentions of those around you. Maybe you even asked yourself, why do I feel things so deeply? Why does being in a crowd drain me so quickly? The truth is, this was never a weakness. This was never just sensitivity. It was a sign, one that very few understand. In the Bible, there were many who carried this heightened awareness. Take Daniel, for example. He was placed in Babylon, surrounded by an empire that did not recognize his God, yet he saw and understood things that others could not. God gave him visions, dreams, and insights that perplexed even the most powerful rulers. Daniel 2:19-23. His spirit was open to divine revelations because he was chosen. Could it be that your own heightened awareness is not a burden, but a sign that you too have been chosen for something greater? This sensitivity is not random. It is a gift from God. But like any gift, if it is not understood, it can feel like a burden. Those who are chosen have an expanded spiritual awareness, an open energy field that allows them to perceive what others cannot. But without guidance, this can lead to exhaustion. You might have carried emotions that were never yours to bear, absorbing the pain and struggles of those around you without knowing why. You might have felt overwhelmed in chaotic environments, as though the energy of the room was pressing in on you. Have you ever wondered why certain people or places drained you while others uplifted you? Even Jesus experienced the power of spiritual sensitivity. When the woman with the issue of blood reached out to touch his robe, he immediately felt power leave him, Mark 5:30. In the midst of a crowded street, with people pressing against him from all sides, he still sensed the unique energy of that one desperate soul. He turned and said, "Who touched me?" because he recognized the spiritual transaction that had taken place. If even the Son of God was aware of spiritual energy and how it moved, why should you doubt your own awareness? This ability to sense the unseen is proof that you are connected to something greater, and this is not something new. It has always been there, woven into your very existence. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest inventors in history, often spoke about energy, frequency, and vibration. He understood that reality was far more than what the eyes could perceive. Imagine if he had ignored his gift, suppressing his ability to see beyond what others could comprehend. What if you too have been given a rare and powerful awareness, not as a curse, but as a calling? The world has never taught you how to use this gift. Instead, it made you believe that you were simply too sensitive or too emotional. But now, you must understand that this ability was placed within you for a reason. It's a sign that you were never meant to live like everyone else. You were designed to operate on a different level, to see beyond what is visible, and to hear beyond what is spoken. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a divine tool, one that will help you step into your true mission. So, let me ask you this. Have you been ignoring this part of yourself, trying to suppress what makes you different? Or are you ready to embrace the truth that you were set apart, chosen, and given a gift that few will ever understand? The choice is now before you. Will you walk in your true purpose? But here is the most incredible truth. This does not happen to everyone. In fact, only a very specific group of people experience this, and you are one of them. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you sensed something was wrong before it even happened, as if a part of you knew long before anyone else? This is not a mere coincidence. It is your gift, your divine intuition trying to protect you. This sensitivity is only the beginning, a small glimpse into something much greater. But the next sign, it reveals something even more astonishing. And once you understand it, you will never see your life the same way again. Have you ever had a dream so vivid, so intense, that when you woke up, it felt as though it had actually happened? A dream so real that it left an imprint on your mind, as if it were more than just a creation of your subconscious. And the strangest part? Later, that very dream unfolded in reality. Maybe you found yourself in a place you had never been before, yet it felt hauntingly familiar. Or perhaps you dreamed of an event that seemed impossible, until it happened exactly as you had seen it. If this has ever occurred in your life, then know this: it was not by chance. Many of God's chosen ones have experienced dreams that go far beyond what science can explain. These are not ordinary dreams. They are visions, messages, and divine warnings that reach you while your body sleeps, but your soul remains awake. Why does this happen? Because in the stillness of the night, when the distractions of the world fade away, the barrier between the physical and spiritual realms becomes thinner. It is in these sacred moments that God speaks to you, guiding you, revealing truths that your waking mind may not yet comprehend. Think about the prophet Joseph, the son of Jacob. As a young boy, he had dreams that revealed glimpses of the future, visions that even his family could not understand. In one dream, he saw himself as a ruler, with his brothers bowing before him. Genesis 37, 5-9. At the time, it made no sense. He was just a shepherd boy. But years later, after trials, betrayal, and divine intervention, those dreams became his reality. He became second in command over Egypt, and his brothers indeed bowed before him, just as his vision had foretold. Could it be that, like Joseph, your dreams are revealing something about your destiny? And it is not just places or events. Some of the chosen dream of people they have never met, until one day they finally cross paths. Others wake up with words echoing in their minds, as if something beyond this world was trying to deliver a message, a warning, or a revelation. Have you ever had a dream where a voice spoke to you, yet you couldn't explain where it came from? But this connection to the unseen is not limited to dreams. Premonitions, those unshakable feelings that something is about to happen, are another undeniable sign of a chosen one. How many times have you felt a sudden weight in your chest before receiving bad news, or an unexplainable sense of peace before a life-changing moment? Maybe you have sensed a person's energy before they even spoke a word. This is not imagination, it is your divine radar, your spirit picking up on signals before they manifest in the physical world. Jesus himself had an unmatched sensitivity to the unseen. When he walked through a crowd, he knew instantly when power had left him after being touched by the woman with the issue of blood, Mark 5:30. Even before Peter denied him, Jesus perceived the fear in his heart and foretold exactly what would happen. Luke 22:34. Not everyone possesses this heightened awareness. Most people go through life completely disconnected from these signals, blind to the divine messages that surround them. They live only by what they can see, never questioning, never sensing. But you were created differently. You were made to perceive, to understand, to see beyond what others cannot. Throughout history, many of the world's greatest minds and visionaries carried this same gift. Nikola Tesla, the genius inventor, spoke often about energy, frequency, and vibration, understanding realities beyond the comprehension of his time. He once said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." Imagine if he had ignored his intuition. What if you too have been gifted with an ability that few possess, not as a burden, but as a divine calling? So now the question remains, will you continue to dismiss these signs as coincidences? Or will you finally embrace the truth that you were set apart for something far greater than you ever imagined? The signs are all around you. It's time to open your eyes and see. Take a moment to pause and reflect. Have you ever had a dream that felt like more than just a dream? Something so vivid, so powerful, that it stayed with you long after you woke up? Have you ever felt an unshakable gut feeling warning you about something before it even happened, only to realize later that your intuition was right? If you have experienced this, understand that it is not a coincidence. These moments are not random flashes of thought or fleeting emotions. They are divine messages, gentle yet firm nudges from a higher power, guiding you toward your true purpose. And here is the most incredible part. Once you begin to awaken to this truth, these signs become even stronger. Your dreams shift from vague impressions to crystal clear revelations. Your premonitions intensify, often leaving you stunned by their accuracy. But why does this happen? Why do these spiritual experiences increase as you become more aware? If you have been noticing these signs more frequently, it means your journey is unfolding in ways you never expected. And this journey is just beginning. Think back to some of the hardest moments of your life. Have you ever felt like you were never truly alone, even in your deepest despair? Have you ever sensed an invisible presence protecting you, guiding you when you couldn't see a way forward? Maybe you couldn't explain it, but something inside you knew you were not abandoned. That feeling is not an illusion, it is real. And throughout history, God has revealed his presence to those he has chosen, often in ways that defy human understanding. Consider the story of Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Joseph seemed to face endless misfortune, yet every hardship led him closer to his divine destiny. God gave him dreams as a child, visions of greatness that no one understood, not even himself. But as Joseph grew, his ability to interpret dreams became his pathway to power. Through divine timing, He was elevated from a prisoner to the second in command of Egypt, Genesis 41:41-43. His suffering was not meaningless, it was preparation. What if the same is happening to you? What if every challenge, every moment of despair is shaping you for something greater? Many of God's chosen ones experience strange synchronicities throughout their lives. Have you ever made a last-minute decision that unknowingly helped you avoid disaster? Have you ever met someone at exactly the right time, only to realize later that they played a crucial role in your growth? Have you ever had an opportunity appear precisely when you needed it most? These are not mere coincidences. The Bible tells us, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way." Psalm 37:23, New King James Version. This means that every twist, every turn, every closed door and sudden breakthrough in your life has been orchestrated with divine precision. Nothing is accidental when God's hand is upon you. From childhood, the chosen often feel an unexplained presence guiding them. Some hear it as a gentle whisper in their minds, offering clarity when making decisions. Others experience it as an unshakable knowing, an inner compass that always seems to steer them in the right direction. Have you ever felt an unseen force pull you away from danger without logical explanation? Perhaps you changed your mind about something at the last second, only to later discover that decision saved you from harm. Or maybe you have watched doors close in your life, only to find an even greater opportunity waiting just beyond. These signs are messages from a higher force. The chosen are never truly left to wander aimlessly. Even in moments of despair, divine intervention finds a way to reveal itself. Sometimes it comes through dreams, just as God spoke to Joseph. Other times it appears as a sudden idea or an unexpected conversation. And more often than not, this guidance comes when you are at your lowest, when you are ready to give up. Have you ever been in a situation where all hope seemed lost, yet somehow a solution appeared when you least expected it? Have you ever thought you were utterly alone, only to receive a sign that reassured you that God was still with you? This happens because the chosen are not meant to live ordinary lives. You have a purpose, a divine mission. And whenever you begin to drift away from it, something always happens to pull you back onto the right path. Look at the life of Albert Einstein. Many people recognize him as a scientific genius, but few know that he often spoke of an unseen force guiding his discoveries. Einstein once said, "Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous." Could it be that his breakthroughs were not just the result of human intellect, but divine inspiration? Think of Oprah Winfrey, who grew up in poverty, faced unimaginable hardships, and yet, through a series of seemingly random yet life-altering encounters, stepped into a destiny greater than she could have ever imagined. She often credits her intuition, what she calls a spiritual knowing, for leading her through the most crucial decisions of her life. Is it possible that you too have been receiving signs all along, but no one ever told you what they meant? If you have ever felt different, if you have ever questioned why certain things happen to you while others seem to live normal, predictable lives, consider this. Perhaps you were never meant to be ordinary. Perhaps you were chosen for something greater. And now, as these signs intensify, the question is not whether they are real, but whether you are ready to embrace them. Pause for a moment and reflect. How many times in your life have you been led to exactly where you needed to be, even when it felt like everything was crumbling around you? How often has a closed door led you to an even greater opportunity, one you never would have considered had things gone according to your plan? If you have ever felt a sense of unseen guidance, a force moving you toward something bigger than yourself, then know this: it is not an accident. This could be yet another sign that you are one of God's chosen. And if that is true, there is something very important you need to understand, because once you recognize the depth of this connection with the divine, it will become even stronger, guiding you toward a purpose far greater than you ever imagined. In the next few moments, you will see how this presence has always been there, orchestrating your journey, bringing certain people into your life, and drawing you to places that seem strangely familiar. Have you ever met someone for the first time and felt as if you had known them forever, as if a hidden part of your soul instantly recognized them? Or perhaps you visited a place you had never been before, yet the moment you stepped in, an unexplainable wave of familiarity washed over you. It was as if that place had always been part of your story, even though you couldn't recall why. If you have experienced this, understand that it was not a mere coincidence. The chosen often encounter inexplicable spiritual connections with certain people and places, moments that feel more like reunions than first encounters. These experiences are not illusions or tricks of the mind. They are evidence of something far greater at play, divine alignment, a recognition that transcends logic. Since childhood, you may have felt that certain people entered your life as if they had always been meant to be there. Perhaps it was a friend, a mentor, or even a stranger who appeared in your darkest hour, bringing wisdom, comfort, or a lesson that changed your life forever. But how is this possible? How can someone you just met feel like an old friend, as if your souls had walked together before? The answer lies in divine purpose. The Bible reminds us that connections are not random. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. This means that long before you took your first breath, God had already woven a plan for your life, setting people in place who would help guide you along your path. Some were sent to encourage you, while others were meant to refine you through challenges. Think of David and Jonathan. Their bond was not an ordinary friendship. It was divinely ordained. The Bible says, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. 1 Samuel 18:1. Their connection was immediate, unshakable, and filled with purpose. Jonathan was meant to protect David, to stand by him even when it meant defying his own father, King Saul. Could it be that some of the people who have entered your life were sent to you for a greater reason? And just as God places people in your life, He also draws you to certain places. Have you ever stepped into a place and felt an overwhelming surge of emotion, as if your soul recognized it before your mind could understand why? Maybe it was a temple, a city, a mountaintop, or even a quiet forest, somewhere that awakened something deep inside you, stirring an ancient longing. Many of the chosen experience this, an intense déjà vu, as if they are reliving fragments of something lost. This happens because the soul's memory extends beyond the limits of this physical life. When you feel this deep connection, it is because your spirit is accessing knowledge that your conscious mind has yet to comprehend. Moses experienced this on Mount Sinai. He had fled from Egypt, spent years as a shepherd, and yet, when he encountered the burning bush, everything changed. The mountain was not just any mountain, it was a holy place, one that carried divine significance. And God called him there for a reason. Exodus 3:1-5. What if certain places in your life have been calling you too? What if the deep emotions you feel in certain locations are not random, but a sign that God is awakening something within you? Even in modern times, people have experienced this divine alignment. Consider Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor whose ideas seem to come from an otherworldly source. He once claimed that his discoveries were not entirely his own, but rather messages from the universe. What if his intuition was not just a gift of intelligence, but a divine connection to something greater? Oprah Winfrey, too, has spoken about how certain moments in her life felt destined, as if invisible hands were guiding her. She often describes meeting people who played crucial roles in her journey, mentors, teachers, and even strangers who changed her life in an instant. Could it be that you have also met people like this? Individuals who, whether for a brief moment or a lifetime, were placed on your path for a reason. If you have ever questioned why certain encounters feel predestined, why certain places stir emotions you cannot explain, then consider this. Perhaps you are not remembering something from this life, but awakening to something deeper, something eternal. You are not alone in these experiences. You are being guided, prepared, and called towards something greater. And as you open your heart to this truth, you will begin to see how everything in your life, the people, the places, the unexplainable moments of recognition, has always been leading you toward your divine purpose. But here is the most crucial truth you must understand. These connections are not random. They are not mere coincidences or fleeting moments of recognition. Every encounter, every place that has ever stirred something deep within you is part of your divine path. They are stepping stones along your awakening, carefully placed in your journey by the hand of God Himself. If a person has crossed your path and ignited something within your spirit, do not ignore it. If a place has made your heart race for no logical reason, do not dismiss it. Nothing in your life is happening by chance. These moments are whispers from the divine, guiding you through signs that only those who are truly aware can recognize. Now ask yourself, have you ever met someone who, despite being a complete stranger, felt like they had always been part of your life? Have you ever visited a place and felt an overwhelming emotion, as if your soul had been there before, long before your physical body ever set foot there? If so, then this may be another sign that you are one of God's chosen. Throughout history, God has used divine connections to fulfill His plans. Look at the meeting of Mary and Elizabeth. When Mary, carrying the unborn Jesus, visited Elizabeth, who was pregnant with John the Baptist, the moment their paths crossed, something miraculous happened. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the baby leapt in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. Luke 1:41. This was not just a meeting of two women, it was a divine encounter, an ordained connection between two lives chosen for a greater purpose. Could it be that the people you have met, the ones who have stirred something deep within you, were placed in your life for a reason? In the next few moments, you will begin to understand how these hidden connections are not just chance encounters, but clues leading you toward your true mission. But before that, let me ask, have you ever felt like you didn't truly belong in this world? As if, despite living your life among others, you have always sensed that something greater was waiting for you, something beyond the ordinary. If this feeling has been with you since childhood, you're not alone. Many of God's chosen experience an unshakable sense of loneliness, even in the presence of others. It is not the kind of loneliness that comes from being physically alone. It is the deep realization that no one around you seems to truly understand you. While others seem content with the surface of life, moving through their routines without questioning anything, you have always felt an inner restlessness, a quiet knowing that the world is not exactly as it appears, a longing for something deeper, something more meaningful. The prophet Jeremiah experienced this same kind of solitude. He was called by God at a young age, set apart for a mission that no one else around him could comprehend. His words were often rejected, his warnings ignored, and his truth dismissed. I sat alone because your hand was upon me, for you had filled me with indignation. Jeremiah 15:17. Do you see the pattern? Those who are chosen often walk a lonely road, not because they are abandoned, but because their path is different from the rest. Think about your own journey. Have you ever shared your deepest thoughts with others, only to be met with blank stares, half smiles, or even words that made you question your own reality? Have you ever felt the need to keep certain insights to yourself because no one else seemed to see what you saw? If so, understand that this was not meant to discourage you, it was meant to refine you. The truth is, this feeling of loneliness is not a mistake. It is an essential part of your awakening process. The chosen go through periods of deep isolation because it is in solitude that transformation occurs. Spiritual awakenings do not happen in the midst of noise and distraction. They happen in the silence, when the world fades away and you are left with nothing but your thoughts and God's voice. Think of Moses. Before leading the Israelites out of Egypt, he spent 40 years in the wilderness, isolated, separated, removed from everything he once knew. But in that solitude, he encountered God in a way that forever changed his destiny. Exodus 3:1-12. Could it be that your own moments of solitude are not punishments, but preparations? And perhaps you have already begun to feel this shift, the need to distance yourself from certain people, certain places, certain environments that seem to drain your energy rather than nourish it. This is no accident. As your awareness expands, as you step into your calling, you find that you can no longer fit into the same patterns you once did. What once felt normal now feels empty. What once entertained you now feels meaningless. What once held your attention now seems trivial. This is not a sign of losing your way. It is a sign of rediscovering who you truly are. Just as a butterfly cannot remain in its cocoon forever, you too cannot remain confined to the old ways of thinking, living, and believing. The old must be shed before the new can emerge. Look at Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest inventors of our time. He was known for his intense periods of solitude, often spending weeks completely isolated, allowing ideas to flow into his mind like revelations. He once said, "Be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born." Could it be that your own moments of isolation are not moments of emptiness, but of divine inspiration? Or take the life of Jesus. Though he walked among the people, healed the sick, and preached to the masses, he often withdrew to be alone with God. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed, Luke 5:16. Even the Son of God needed moments of solitude to connect with his higher calling. If he needed that stillness, how much more do you? This is why the loneliness you have felt is not a curse, it is a calling. It is God's way of pulling you away from the distractions of the world so that he can speak to you more clearly. And though this phase of solitude may feel heavy, know that it is leading you to something greater. The isolation is not forever. It is merely the first step toward discovering the truth of who you are. So the question is, are you ready to embrace it? Are you ready to see your solitude not as an emptiness, but as an opportunity? Because those who are truly called, the ones destined for something greater, are never meant to blend in. They are meant to rise, and your time is coming. There is something no one has ever told you, something that changes everything. The more you accept this phase of solitude, the more you allow yourself to embrace this calling, the more God begins to align you with the right people. Not just anyone, but those who truly resonate with your spirit, the ones who see you, understand you, and walk the same path because they too have been through it. This solitude you are experiencing is not a punishment. It is a sacred calling. A divine invitation to step away from the noise of the world, to stop seeking validation from people who will never understand your journey, and to begin listening to the only voice that truly matters, the voice of God speaking directly to your soul. Now, take a moment and reflect. How many times have you felt like you didn't belong, as if no one could truly see you for who you are? How often have you tried to express the depths of what you feel, only to be met with confusion, disbelief, or indifference? If this has ever happened to you, know this: it is not the end of your journey. In fact, it is only the beginning. And in the next few moments you will see why this solitude is not an obstacle, but a preparation. Once this revelation settles in your heart, you will never see your experiences the same way again. What if I told you that nothing in your life has ever happened by chance? Every sensation you have had since childhood, every moment of isolation, every unexplainable experience that no one could ever fully make sense of. They're all part of something greater. Every closed door, every delayed opportunity, every relationship that ended unexpectedly, none of it was random. It was God's way of protecting you, refining you, and shaping you for something far beyond what you can comprehend right now. The world has always tried to convince you otherwise. You were told that your heightened intuition was just a coincidence, that your dreams were nothing more than imagination, that your deep sense of knowing was just an overactive mind. But deep down, you always knew the truth. You always felt there was something more, something unseen, yet undeniably real. And now, the moment of revelation has come. You feel this way because you are one of God's chosen. The signs were always there. Your sensitivity to the unseen, your ability to perceive things before they happen, the unexplainable way certain people and places felt deeply connected to you, and that invisible force that always seemed to guide you through your hardest moments. None of this was random. It was never random. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. God has always been showing you that you were set apart, chosen for a greater purpose. Most people live disconnected from this truth. They move through life on autopilot, consumed by distractions, unaware that there is a spiritual dimension beyond what their eyes can see. They chase temporary pleasures, material success, and validation from others, never realizing that true fulfillment lies in something far deeper. But you have always known there was something more, and now for the first time, you finally understand why. Look at the life of Noah. The world around him was lost, living without awareness, drowning in corruption. But Noah was different. He was chosen. And because he was chosen, he had to walk a lonely path. While others laughed, he built. While others mocked, he obeyed. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. Genesis 6:22. His solitude was not a punishment, it was preparation. If Noah had sought approval from the world, he would have drowned with it. Instead, he chose to listen to God's voice and became the one through whom life was preserved. Could it be that your isolation is preparing you for something just as significant? The chosen are not ordinary people. They do not come into this world to blend in, to follow the crowd, or to accept things as they are. They come to transform, to awaken, to open the eyes of those who are still asleep. But before they can do that, they must first go through their own awakening. They must be tested, refined, stripped of everything false, so that only the truth remains. And that is exactly what is happening to you right now. Think of Moses. He was raised in a palace, surrounded by wealth, power, and luxury. But that was not his true identity. When he discovered who he really was, he could no longer live as he once did. He had to leave it all behind. He had to go into the wilderness. He had to be alone with God before he could lead others to freedom. Exodus 3:1-12. What if your journey is following the same pattern? What if everything you have been through, every challenge, every loss, every moment of doubt, has been shaping you, molding you, preparing you to step into something greater? And now you stand at a crossroads. You have two choices. You can ignore this calling and continue living as if nothing has changed, clinging to the familiar even though it no longer fulfills you. Or you can accept your mission, step into your purpose, and take the next step toward your true awakening. But before you decide, there is something you need to know. Recognizing that you are one of the chosen is only the beginning. Many are called, but few respond. Knowing who you are is not enough. You must act. You must learn how to unlock the power that has been placed inside of you, because God did not awaken you just so you could return to sleep. He revealed this truth to you because it is time. And in the next few moments you will discover exactly how to access that hidden power within you, because your awakening is not just for you, it is for the world, and the time to rise is now. Now that you understand that nothing in your life has ever been a mere coincidence, a profound question stands before you. What will you do with this divine revelation? Acknowledging that you are one of God's chosen ones is only the beginning. But knowledge alone is not enough. You must act upon it. From the moment you truly accept your calling, a transformation begins within you. Your spiritual awareness sharpens, your discernment deepens, and the guidance from God becomes undeniable. But there is a critical truth that many overlook. Countless individuals feel the calling yet suppress it. They recognize the signs but choose to ignore them, remaining trapped in the routines of life, bound by fear and shackled by the expectations imposed upon them by society. Have you ever wondered how many people before you have missed their destiny simply because they were too afraid to answer God's call? But for you, turning back is no longer an option. Now that you have awakened, your soul will never again be at peace with an ordinary existence. The comforts of a complacent life will no longer satisfy you, for you have been set apart. Think of Moses. He was raised in Pharaoh's palace, enjoying privilege and luxury. But the moment he realized his true identity, he could no longer remain there. His soul would not allow him to turn a blind eye to his people's suffering. Likewise, the moment you recognize your purpose, there is no going back. So, how do you fully embrace this calling and unlock the fullness of your divine potential? The first step is to break free from self-doubt. The world has conditioned you to question yourself, to dismiss your spiritual instincts as mere imagination, and to downplay your emotions as irrational. But now you see the truth. These were never weaknesses. They were divine gifts. Since childhood, God has been speaking to you, guiding you, and preparing you for something greater. Remember young Samuel in the temple. God called his name in the night, but Samuel didn't recognize his voice at first. It wasn't until Eli instructed him to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening," 1 Samuel 3:9, that Samuel finally understood. Have you ever paused and truly listened for God's voice in your life? He has been speaking all along. The second step is to reconnect with your divine essence, and this requires silence. You must learn to drown out the noise of the world, the opinions, distractions, and doubts that cloud your spirit, and attune yourself to the voice of God. Jesus himself often withdrew to solitary places to pray, Luke 5:16, demonstrating that spiritual clarity comes in moments of stillness. Have you ever noticed how the greatest revelations in your life came when you were alone, away from the chaos? Whether it's through deep prayer, reflection, or immersing yourself in nature, you must cultivate an environment where God's whispers become clear. The third step is to follow the divine signs that have always been present in your life. Have you ever experienced moments where things seemed too perfectly aligned to be mere coincidence? Perhaps a door closed only for another to open in a way you never expected. Maybe you met someone who gave you the exact wisdom you needed at the right time. These are not accidents. This is divine orchestration. In the Bible, Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery. Yet every misfortune led him closer to his purpose. When he was imprisoned, it seemed like the end, but in reality it was a step toward his destiny of ruling Egypt and saving nations. Genesis 50:20. Could it be that the trials in your life were never meant to break you, but rather to position you for something greater? And finally, the most crucial step. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to act. So many people delay their calling, waiting for an undeniable sign, a moment of absolute certainty before they take their first step. But faith does not require clarity, it requires obedience. When God called Abraham to leave his homeland, he didn't reveal the full plan. He simply said, "Go to the land I will show you." Genesis 12:1. Abraham moved forward in faith, even though he did not know where God was leading him. Likewise, God may be calling you to step into your purpose now, even if you don't have all the answers. Will you trust him enough to move forward? Even in modern times, we see examples of this kind of faith. Oprah Winfrey, before becoming a media icon, was fired from her first television job. She could have taken that as a sign to give up, but instead she persisted, believing she had a greater purpose. Today, she credits her success to trusting God's plan for her life. What if she had allowed that setback to define her? What if she had never stepped into her calling? The same applies to you. What is God calling you to do that you have been hesitant to embrace? The time is now. You are no longer asleep to your purpose. You are chosen. You are called. And the only question left is, will you answer? Now that you finally understand who you are, a decision stands before you, one that only you can make. Will you step forward into the purpose God has prepared for you, or will you turn away and ignore it? Because the truth is, the world is in desperate need of those who are awake. Darkness thrives when the chosen ones remain silent, but when you embrace your divine mission, your very presence becomes a light that cannot be extinguished. And if you've made it this far, know that this moment was never a coincidence. Every step you have taken, every hardship you have endured, every mysterious sign you have witnessed, it has all led to this. In the next few moments, you will come to see how everything in your life has been a preparation for what is ahead. But with this understanding comes a responsibility. Now, you must choose. Deep inside, you've always felt it, the sense that you were different, set apart, meant for something greater. But until now, doubt clouded your vision. You questioned whether these signs were real or just your imagination. You wondered why you always felt things more deeply than others, why you could sense things before they happened, why solitude often felt more like a necessity than a burden. But now, the answer is clear. None of it was random. None of it was accidental. You were never just another person in the crowd. You were chosen. The Bible is filled with stories of those who carried this same burden of awareness. Jeremiah, before he was even born, was set apart by God to be a prophet. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. Like you, he struggled with doubt, feeling unworthy of the calling placed upon him. But God does not make mistakes. If he has chosen you, then he has already equipped you. Have you ever considered that every trial, every hardship, every moment of isolation was actually training? God shaping you for something far beyond what you ever imagined? Now, you stand at the crossroads of destiny. You can dismiss this truth, convince yourself that it's easier to continue as before and remain in the comfort of the familiar. Or you can take the first step toward unlocking your true potential and embracing the divine path laid before you. But understand this: once you have seen the truth, you cannot unsee it. Once your spirit awakens, you will never again be satisfied with a life that is anything less than what you were created for. Think of Paul, once Saul, a man who fiercely opposed God's people until he was struck blind on the road to Damascus. When his eyes were opened, he could never return to his old life. He became one of the most powerful voices in history, spreading the gospel across nations. What if he had chosen to ignore God's calling? What if he had tried to go back to the life he once knew? Could it be that your own transformation is waiting on the other side of your obedience? Even today, we see echoes of this journey in real life. Malala Yousafzai, as a young girl, recognized the injustice in her world and chose to speak up for the education of girls. She faced persecution, even an assassination attempt, yet she did not retreat into silence. Instead, she stepped forward, carrying the weight of her calling. What if she had chosen to remain hidden in fear? How different would the world be? And now, ask yourself, what impact will be lost if you choose to remain unseen? The truth is, you were never meant to blend in. You were born to stand out. You were born to lead, to heal, to inspire. And now the time has come to decide. Will you step into your purpose, or will you let the moment pass and return to sleep? Because once you have awakened, there is no turning back. And deep down, you know you wouldn't want to. Now that you have come to this understanding, be prepared. Your journey is about to shift. God will begin to test you. The signs that once appeared subtly will become more intense. The opportunities you once longed for will start to materialize. But here is the truth. Only those who truly listen to the calling, who have the courage to trust and obey, will step into their divine purpose. Many are called, but only a few truly answer. What about you? This is where faith is tested. This is where God separates those who are willing to walk by faith from those who remain bound by fear. Have you ever wondered why, just when you are on the brink of transformation, challenges arise? Why does life suddenly feel like a battlefield the moment you decide to pursue your higher calling? It is because every divine mission comes with opposition. Even Jesus, after being baptized and receiving the Holy Spirit, was led into the wilderness to be tested. Matthew 4:1. Before stepping into his public ministry, he faced trials that tested his identity and obedience to God's will. If even the Son of God was tested, why would your journey be any different? The question is, what will you do now? Will you wait passively, hoping that circumstances change on their own? Will you hesitate, allowing self-doubt and fear to hold you back? Or will you take control of your journey, boldly stepping forward into the destiny God has set before you? The choice is in your hands. Moses was called to deliver the Israelites, but at first he doubted himself. He questioned his ability to speak, his worthiness, his strength. He tried to resist, saying, "Who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" Exodus 3:11. But God did not choose Moses because of his confidence. He chose him because of his obedience. Could it be that God is calling you not because of your qualifications, but because he sees something in you that you have yet to recognize? If you feel as though this message is speaking directly to your spirit, it is because you were meant to hear it at this precise moment. Nothing in your life has been a coincidence. Every challenge, every moment of solitude, every strange coincidence that led you to this very point was all orchestrated by divine hands. Think of Esther. She did not realize at first why she was placed in a position of royalty. But when the time came, she was reminded. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Could it be that you too have been positioned exactly where you are for a greater purpose? It is no accident that you are hearing this now. Some people go their entire lives searching for their purpose, but you have been given the revelation. The question is, what will you do with it? Some will ignore the signs, convincing themselves that it is easier to remain in the comfort of the familiar. Others will hesitate, waiting for absolute certainty before taking their first step. But the truth is, faith does not require certainty, it requires trust. When God called Abraham, he didn't give him all the details. He simply said, "Go to the land I will show you." Genesis 12:1. Abraham obeyed, not because he knew exactly where he was going, but because he trusted the one leading him. What is God calling you to do that you have been hesitant to embrace? I want to hear from you. How many of these signs have you already experienced in your life? Have you ever felt moments of divine intervention, protection, or an undeniable inner knowing that you couldn't explain? Share your story in the comments, because your testimony may be the confirmation someone else needs right now. And don't keep this revelation to yourself. Send this message to someone who needs to hear it. Someone who may be on the verge of awakening but still unsure of what to do next. If you are ready to continue on this journey of revelation, subscribe now, because in the next videos I will reveal even deeper truths about the divine mission of the chosen ones, the trials they must overcome, and the power they hold once they step fully into their purpose. God has already placed the calling before you. He has shown you the signs. He has prepared the way. Now, the choice is in your hands. Will you step forward in faith, or will you let this moment pass, knowing deep down that you were created for something greater? Because once you have been awakened, there is no turning back. And if you truly understand this, you wouldn't want to.